Bitter criticism. Is everybody there? Did the United States start the World War III? Is World War III anywhere? I guess I'm going to make a movie that way. Yeah, I'm going to tell this to my friend. I have a friend who always going to the cliffs, down the cliffs, and there's a cave over there. And that's a great idea to make a movie after because of this location. The place is awesome. Is even more beautiful than right here. That way, you have a lot of vegetation. sounds terrible for city babies, but I love it. And yeah, I guess I'm going to do a short movie about the end of civilization. People say that I was watching some videos on YouTube. There's plenty of videos like this. The videos say the estimations. Well, who knows what could happen, but people say 5 billion people will die. 5 billion people will die. I guess almost all the North Hemisphere, isn't it? All of them. Even the global South, even, let's say, Tommy. Let's say even Afghanistan. So it's terrible, isn't it? All of them will die because of nuclear winter. I'm going to read some news now. I'm going to read Russia Today because I want to know about the Chinese soldier. What happened to these two heroes? There's a news about Xi Jinping. The first news, and says Kremlin. I'm going to show you to myself. This is Russia Today. Can you see? Well, because it is easier to know which video. April 11, 2025, Home World News. She warns US will isolate itself. There are no winners in a tariff war, the Chinese president has said. And there's a photo of Xi Jinping. Chinese President Xi Jinping on the house. The United States risks isolating itself by pursuing unilateral trade restrictions. Chinese President Xi Jinping warned on Friday during a visit of Spain Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez to Beijing. The administration of US President Donald Trump has launched an escalating tariff war with China, imposing a total of 145% in duties on Chinese imports this week. Beijing has retaliated by hiking tariffs on American goods to 125%. Quote, there are no winners in the tariff war, and standing against the world ultimately results in self-isolation, end quote, she said. As cited by Xinhua news agency, She called on China and the European Union to, quote, jointly resist unilateral bullying in order to protect their legitimate rights and interests and uphold international rules and order. And there's a related news that says global tariff war. Global tariff war. I said tariffs war. Global tariff war. Yeah. Key developments. That's another news, but I'm going to read it later on. The EU, which has been targeted with a 20% tariff by the US, has warned of significant global economic repercussions and has vowed to take countermeasures. Earlier this week, Trump declared a 90-day pause on reciprocal duties for most US trading partners, including the EU, allowing a window for negotiation. But everybody, I will not say they hate the United States, but nobody loves the United States by this time, you know? Look what the hell they are doing to the world. Brussels has adopted a policy of, quote unquote, de-risking towards Chinese imports, balancing protective trade measures such as tariffs on electric vehicles with efforts to maintain constructive economic relations. The Chinese president also stated that regardless of changes in the external environment, the country will remain steadfast, focused, and will efficiently manage its own affairs. Quote, for over 7 decades, China's growth has been fueled by self-reliance and hard work, never depending on favors from others and never backing down in the face of unreasonable suppression, she explained. I like it, this paragraph. It's saying like China is a positive, productive member of global society. That's what she's saying. For over 7 decades, China's growth has been fueled by self-reliance and hard work, never depending on favors from others and never backing down in the face of unreasonable suppression. Of course, she's talking about Mao Zedong, Great Famine and stuff, because you know, this will be polemic because people hate starvation, but do you know why there was starvation in China? Do you know why? Because Soviet Union and the rest of the world asked China to pay their debts, and China was broke after the century of humiliation. Everybody was a junkie, smoking opium, and of course they were this dynasty. Who knows which dynasty was that? The end of dynasties. That's an interesting question. What happened until 1949? What happened until 1949? There will be a absolutely travestied government, a terrible, shameful government, and then communism saves the day and will save us quickly than later, sooner than later. Take note, communists will win. Anyway, so what happened until 1949? And the government just kept people under opium and kept borrowing money from the IMF. The IMF don't even exist by then, but yeah, I guess the IMF is even worse, you know. IMF deals is even worse. It's just imperialism. The UN is just imperialism. It's just like a legitimation of extortion. You know, the UN is a legitimation of extortion. That will be a good headline, because before the UN, I guess if you have a debt with even the United States, nobody cares about it. You know, nobody cares. You have a debt to the United States, and you will see what you will see whatever you will do. You can call a Tommy friend, like a Russia, another empire, and say, I will not pay the debt, the US. Forget about it. Because of history, you know? Because it was another president, it was another guy. This guy stole the money and fly to Miami. That happens all the time. It's terrible. That's imperialism. But the UN legitimates all this whorehouse. That is the imperialism. So look, the United States managed to put presidents in all over the world. These presidents in poor countries borrow money from the UN, the IMF, controlled by the US, and then these guys rob the money, take the money for them, and fly to Miami, and fly to the US. What about that? This is not a system. This is a whorehouse. The world is a whorehouse. But anyway, and well, of course, people around the world, they just suffer. People just keep suffering. But here we go. That quote was remarkable. Well, by this time, I guess Russia will not betray China, which is terrific. Trump argues that the increased duties are needed to address trade imbalances and stop China from, quote unquote, ripping off the USA. Earlier this week, he opined that the, quote unquote, proud Chinese will have to, quote, make a deal at some point. China has slammed Trump's, quote unquote, abnormally high tariffs on Chinese products as, quote unquote, unilateral bullying and coercion, end quote. The move by the US president represents a serious violation of international economic and trade rules, as well as of basic economic laws and common sense, end quote. Beijing stressed. The trade dispute, the world's two largest economies, has disrupted global markets, sent oil prices to four-year lows, and caused concerns over global supply chains. Yeah, I'm going to read the related news now. Global tariff war, key developments. This news is from, there's live updates too. This is from 1 or 2 days ago. April 9, Home World News. Global tariff war, key developments. China has hit back at the US, raising retaliatory import tariffs to 125. And maybe now it's 104. Who knows what? Because this is old news, so old news. Forget about it. No, but this is there's live updates. Yeah, Russia Today, Russian people were covering all what happening. It's not too much, but I'm not going to read it. I want to know about the Chinese soldier. Russia Today is not talking about the Chinese soldiers. I'm going to search Chinese soldiers. I don't know. Maybe nobody knows the names of these soldiers. Maybe nobody understands Chinese in Ukraine. Definitely. Kremlin responds to claims of Chinese involvement in Ukraine conflict. Oh, there's two news at least. I'm going to read these two news right here in Russia Today, and then I'm going to CGTN just to see what happened to these soldiers, because it was my my analysis. I predicted World War III and absolute destruction by this time. It looks like it didn't happen, but economy in Chile is crippling even more. There's no more. You cannot lunch 2 times in the church restaurant. What about that? Terrible. There's no food. There's no charity anymore. April 10, 2025. Home. Russia and former Soviet Union. Kremlin responds to claims of Chinese involvement in Ukraine conflict. Vladimir Zelensky has alleged that Chinese nationals are fighting for Russia, a claim rejected by Beijing. Rejected by Beijing. Who knows? Yeah, Beijing has to reject, of course, but I guess underground, under the officiality, I guess Russia and China, they definitely has collaborations, military collaborations even, isn't it? So they say no. This is a yes/no response, isn't it? So Kremlin says no. Oh, Beijing says of course not. But the truth is, well, are you not seeing what's happening here? We have a military alliance. Can you see the soldier? This is a Chinese soldier. How you can see it? Well, I guess everybody understands. Claims by Vladimir Zelensky that Russia is involving China in the Ukraine conflict are false. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has said, insisting that Beijing maintains a neutral stance. On Thursday, Zelensky released a short video showing a man he claimed to be a Chinese national captured during the fighting. He alleged that two such individuals are currently in Ukrainian custody, adding that, quote unquote, significantly more are serving alongside Russian forces. Quote, that's not true. China has always maintained a very balanced position, so Zelensky is wrong. Well, I hope China is playing the game, you know. I hope China is. I would love to read more irony. I love this kind of irony. Kremlin spokesman Peskov said on Thursday, stressing that China remains Russia's strategic partner and friend. Peskov said on Thursday, oh yeah, that's what I want to know too. Peskov said on Thursday, Peskov, this nice guy, I like Peskov. Dmitry Peskov. I like him. I like Wang Yi too, but Wang Yi, nobody will be, there's no forever Wang Yi, you know? There's no never and forever. I mean, look at this. These dogs over here, I love them. I can say I love them forever. But they're going to die, you know? I'm going to die too. So this love is not going to last forever. That's the sad news about forever and never. Never and forever. It's terrible. Never forever friends and never enemies. Who knows? The planet Earth will not last forever. The solar system will not last forever. So I guess Russia and China will not last forever neither, you know. Anyway, but I like you. I like you. I like this guy. I want to, I guess, Wang Ji could dress a Hello Kitty custom, that will be very, very funny, very interesting. If Wang Ji dresses a Hello Kitty custom, I will love him forever. That's for sure. But let's see what. Let's read again what Dmitry Peskov said. Claims by Vladimir Zelensky that Russia is involved in China in the Ukraine conflict are false. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has said, insisting that Beijing maintains a neutral stance. On Tuesday, Zelensky released a short video showing a man he claimed to be a Chinese national captured during the fighting. He alleged that two such individuals are currently in Ukrainian custody. Ukrainian custody sounds comfortable, you know. I guess there's coffee over there, you know. I guess there's a share and coffee, and they are not killing them like Russian soldiers, violating Geneva human rules, human rights. You know, Ukraine, unfortunately I saw this. Ukraine executed a lot of Russian soldiers. Terrible. Of course, a soldier is like a suicidal person, but come on, there's Geneva rules, you know. You have to. You don't need. You don't have to give a share to the captured soldier, but definitely you have to keep them alive at least, you know. On Tuesday, Zelensky released a short video showing a man he claimed to be a Chinese national captured during the fighting. I guess Ukrainian people, they just like me, they are more interested in speak Chinese, you know. They want to learn Chinese. Yeah, that what I'm going to do. Hey, learn. Teach me some Chinese, please. Teach me some Chinese. I'm going to start doing this to Chinese tourists on the street. Just like Han Ma, this Chinese trillionaire, this Chinese oligarch, tycoon, Jack Ma. Yeah, Jack Ma started everything by learning English. By learning English and speaking to people on the street, offering guide service in exchange for language learning. What about that? So that's what I'm going to do on the opposite side, learning Chinese. Yeah. On Tuesday, Zelensky released a short video showing a man he claimed to be a Chinese national captured during the fighting. He alleged that two such individuals are currently in Ukrainian custody, adding that, quote-unquote, significantly more are serving alongside Russian forces. Quote, that's not true. China has always maintained a very balanced position, so Zelensky is wrong, end quote. Kremlin spokesman Peskov said on Thursday, stressing that China remains Russia's strategic partner and friend. And military friend, come on. Zelensky has also alleged that Russia, quote, is involving China. Zelensky has also alleged that Russia is, quote, involving China directly or indirectly in the Ukraine conflict, urging the US and the EU to respond swiftly. Shut up, Zelensky. Ukraine doesn't matter anymore. Ukraine is just done. Beijing has dismissed Zelensky's claims as, quote-unquote, groundless, with Foreign Ministry spokesman Lian Jian reiterating on Wednesday that the Chinese government consistently advises its citizens against participating in foreign armed conflicts in any capacity. Read more. Another news. Beijing rejects Zelensky's captured soldiers' claims. I'm going to read that one too. Quote, And well, Chinese and at least Russian people don't talk too much about this, and I guess that's the correct posture, you know. Well, this is a tricky business. Don't talk too much about it. Quote: China's stance on the Ukrainian crisis is clear and unambiguous, and it has been widely acknowledged by the international community. End quote. The spokesperson added, China has consistently rejected Washington's accusations that its trade with Russia is helping to fuel Moscow's military production, maintaining that, unlike Western countries, it remains neutral in the conflict. Ukrainian Member of Parliament Alexander Dubinsky, a Zelensky critic, who is facing treason charges. But Ukrainian Member of Parliament Alexander Dubinsky, a Zelensky critic, who is facing treason charges, has suggested that Kiev may once again be resorting to fabricating evidence. He posted a screenshot showing that the video shared by Zelensky, purportedly featuring a captured Chinese national, was originally titled Korean Soldier 2. Korean soldiers. Oh, this is a North Korean soldier, maybe. Before being renamed, he added that Ukrainian diplomats will now have to explain to Beijing, quote, whether this was a fake or simply a file naming mistake. Yeah, you know, the great stories, great texts. The question is, this is the very right way to behave in this situation, you know. But all this has happened because of, my opinion, because of Ukraine defeat, Russian freedom, pressure increase to the US and the West. So pressure is increasing because of the defeat of Ukraine, and they are trying to pressure China. So that's why they are trying to involve China. Who knows what's going to happen? I love China. I'm so grateful for everything I see. The Roman Empire, maybe they're still, no, I guess Roman Empire, they didn't steal or copy absorb technology from China, but in modern age, the English Empire. So English Empire, definitely they stole everything from China, from ancient China, everything. Look, this cell phone, they have a glass. We have concrete. That's it, everything, concrete, glass. We owe everything to China. Without China, there will be a very prehistoric place, a very uncomfortable place without concrete, no glass, no nothing. All thanks to China. Ukraine has repeatedly accused other countries of supporting Russia, alleging that Iran has supplied drones and North Korea has sent troops. Washington and its allies have also claimed that Pyongyang dispatched around 12,000 soldiers to Russia for training and potential deployment in the Ukraine conflict, but have failed to provide any evidence. Honestly, this makes sense because that captured soldier, it was like it was like starving, you know. It was like too skinny and too kind of, yeah. Because of North Korea is a bloc country, is just like Venezuela. So people in Venezuela, people in North Korea, they suffer a lot because of imperialism, because of poverty related to imperialism. And this soldier over there, they had a he looks like suffered for decades, or there was no something, no nutrients in North Korea. That's forever, you know, maybe forever until imperialism ruled the world. And let me tell you, unfortunately, if the West win this war, we will all be just like that soldier, suffering from malnutrition all over the world. Forget about South America. South America will suffer, will perish even more. April 9, Beijing rejects Zelensky's capture soldiers' claims. The Ukrainian leader has alleged that Chinese nationals are fighting for Russia against Kiev troops. I'm going to. That's the same thing. It's very similar to the last one. I'm going to see what CGTN said about that. CGTN. Exploring CGTN. Soldier. Let's see what CGTN say about soldier. Nothing. Nothing about Chinese soldier. Chinese soldier. This is the right behavior a government should have about. So China is talking about tariff. China says there is no winner in a tariff war. Showcasing I guess this guy is Medvedev. Oh no, this is a Spain president or prince. Spain. President Xi to visit Vietnam, Malaysia, Cambodia, April. Oh, I love China, you know. Fifth China International Consumer Products Expo to kick off in Hainan. I love Hainan. EU passes a retaliatory tariff amidst US suspension. Yeah, definitely. I will play some more lottery, trying to make my way to Hainan. That's it. And they are talking about a lot about. Well, China is just not talking about Chinese soldier. I'm going to, and well, of course, this soldier has no name, of course. No name, because he's not a Chinese soldier. Well, I have to admit I got very excited about soldiers and wars and stuff, but by this time the world is peaceful. We only have water supply problems. Private company will try to kill me because of that. They are not going to achieve this because of Tommy, and there's no war here, unfortunately, because Tommy loves war. Can you see? Do you want to see? Tommy! And that's it. We are prepared here. We are going to recover all North Korean soldiers. They are part of my family. The boys miss them, all of them.